Ahoy, hello dear listeners, welcome to another podcast, and I would like to also welcome here my today's guest, Mr. Mehmet Ekmekçi, game designer, scrum master, and also a Turk living in the Czech Republic since 2014. Hello Mehmet.
Hi, very good to be here.
So you came to the Czech Republic for the first time as a student of ČVUT. So how did that happen? Why did you choose Czech Republic?
Before I came to Czech Republic, I was living in Germany, in Frankfurt. But I do have a cousin that's been living here for about 15 years now. We talked with him, and he told me, you know what, just jump on a bus, come to Prague, take a look, see if you like it. And then there are a bunch of good universities that you can, maybe apply. And I did, and I stayed here for a week, and it was a great, great experience. Um, I was usually just walking around by myself, checking out the architecture and everything. But I met a bunch of international students back then who were studying at Charles University. So I got some feedback from them, and then I was genuinely shocked that everyone was speaking English. Like I didn't have any hard time, communicating with people at all. So once I went back to Germany, I applied to ČVUT. In the end, I got accepted to other universities as well. So it was like a matter of choice. But that week I had here was so great that I was like, okay, now I can, take a chance and try living there and see what happens. Fast forward 6 years and I'm here still.
Do you remember maybe like before you ever came to the Czech Republic, what did you know about this place?
Back in Germany, I did have a friend from Slovakia. So it's very similar cultures, more or less. So I did get some feedback from there. But my perception was ice hockey, lots of dumplings, sweet, savory, doesn't matter. Um, People-wise, I didn't have any kind of perception. Because I had that Slovak friend, we were getting along great, and so I didn't exactly know what to expect. Uh, when it came to like weather and food and daily life, sure, we all have our like perceptions. We hear things, we see things from videos and such. But how it would be to integrate myself in the Czech life and like communicate and spend time with Czech people, I had no idea. Which I think is in my case it was a good thing, because each and every time I met with people and I talked to them, I was genuinely surprised. So there were never really any like bad surprises in any way when it came to like Czech people, culture, and food.
You have been studying previously in Germany and living there for a while. Maybe can you try to compare it, or have you spotted some difference between Czechs and Germans?
um, okay, I'll start. The biggest common thing among Czechs and Germans is that both sides think that they know each other, but I don't think they do. Because like the perception between Germans and Czechs is it's very different. So like Germans think Czechs are like very cold. They don't want to be friendly. They won't talk to you. All they want to do is drink beer and just like spend their time at home and watch hockey and like scream at the TV. And Czech perception of Germans, I think, are like in a way similar. That like they're Germans, they're cold. They only want to drink beer and eat sausage and eat cabbage, and they don't. And so like for my German friends, um, when I asked them about, okay, did you have any Czech friends? How was it and such? I heard similar things. And then when I came here, when people asked me about Germany, I heard like similar things. But to me, the biggest difference was like sort of the lifestyle. I think the Czech lifestyle is it's much more flexible. The thing is like Germany is somewhat already become a melting pot. So when you go to Germany in any city, any kind of province, you'll meet with people from many different nationalities and cultures. So they are very, very used to it. So to them, if you're from Turkey, Greece, Italy, it doesn't matter. You're just there and that's it. So they're not really specifically interested in your culture because they already sort of know about it. Where here, I believe Czech people are much more interested in like different cultures. So they're more open to like talking to you and asking you questions about how life is in your country, how you got used to like the life here, are you learning Czech and such. Uh, so like things always lead to, you know, funny, positive conversations about different cultures and such. So in my opinion, the Czech culture or like the Czech lifestyle in general is it's slightly more flexible, and it's more about like enjoying rather than planning. Where in Germany everything is very precisely planned, like where you go, when you go, how many people should go. Where here it's more like relaxed. And I didn't realize that a lot of Czech people spend, again, based on my experience, more time with their family rather than just like with their friends or like different environments. There are similarities, definitely. But I did find Czech culture or like Czech people in general warmer than I did with Germany.
Okay, maybe my next question is a bit too ambitious, but do you believe that people in Turkey have some image about Czechs and Czech Republic?
Yeah, yeah, they do. It's not accurate at all. Like when people first found out, because it had been a while for me before I lived in Turkey, because I was in the U.S. and then moved back to Turkey and then Germany and then here. So for them, I was always the person that was outside the country. When they heard that I was moving here, like older generations, the first thing they told me, okay, buy lots of coats, buy lots of wool sweaters. We hear that it's like minus 30 degrees there, it's minus 55, and it's all this exaggeration that it's like really, really cold, always. Like there's no summer here and it's always snowing. And the second opinion is that the food here is like, they know nothing about the food here. So they always assume that like we're starving and we're eating like whatever we can find. Um, so I remember like I came here directly from Germany, but the first time I went to visit my family and I came back here and I opened my luggage and I found like 2 kilos of oranges, tangerines, garlic, onions, because my mother and my mom and grandma, they thought that like we wouldn't have those things here. So they were nice enough to put that stuff in my luggage. And like apart from that, they know something because there's like a sports connection. Football is not that big in Czech Republic, but it is in Turkey, and like the two teams played a lot together back then when I first moved. There are players who play in the Turkish league, so they know some things, but again, like it's not accurate. The biggest perception was, as I've said, it's cold, there's no food, and probably nobody will talk to you because we hear that they're cold people, you know, that don't communicate. And as I've said, it's definitely not that accurate at all.
Yeah, that's quite horrible to hear, but I heard from one friend from Japan, and she was so horrified when her company sent her to the Czech Republic because her idea was maybe even worse than the one that you said. So she packed extra toilet paper to her suitcase just just to be safe. And I guess that, you know, it's not that great that people around the world think something not that nice about the Czech Republic. But if I would have to choose, I guess that it's the better option, that you are expecting that it will be horrible and then you find out that it's quite okay or
Yeah, yeah. I
even
mean,
better than the other way
exactly.
around.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, when finally my parents visited me here, they were also like genuinely surprised because they're like, "Wow, transportation here is much better," and they're like, "Wow, people tend to smile here, and you know, they say good morning, and you know, they tend to talk to you, even you know, outside the touristic areas. If you need help, they help you." I think in my case, I do sort of understand where they get their ideas from, but I also feel happy that you know they had a chance to come visit me here, so like the perceptions were broken. So when they went back, I do hope they told other people that no, they do have oranges and onions and all that stuff, and you know we don't need to pack them in our luggage when we go there.
Well, you have mentioned that previously you have been living in Germany, and as you have said, there is quite a big Turkish community, and it's kind of common that you can find there even something like a Turkish quarter, I would say, where you can find Turkish bakeries, candy shops, and even supermarkets. So in this way, I would guess that it would be easier choice to live in Germany than in the Czech Republic. So how do you survive in the Czech Republic without all this like Turkish background or infrastructure?
It used to be much harder when I first came, but now it's better. Now there are like multiple Turkish shops. Apart from that, like the online ordering options, they just got much better as well. That like we can actually order things from Germany, again from Austria, if we need something. But I think most of us, at least people in my close vicinity, we've been here for a while, and we got really used to like the Czech culture, food, like the habits here. I think we shifted from, you know, craving and looking for Turkish food to just like doing it once every while, you know, cooking it once every while or ordering it once every while. And for now, like that's enough for us.
Okay, I have one assumption. Let's see if it's correct or not. But in the Czech Republic, we have quite a big culture of, let's say, tea houses, čajovna. And when I visit these places, I'm quite keen of drinking salep. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can find there even baklava. So I'm just guessing that maybe it's something that a Turk living in the Czech Republic would appreciate and visit from time to time. Is it so?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we do have a lot of like tea places, chayovnas in Turkey too. So like that was a good fit that I arrived and there were like so many tea places. And also like we drink a lot of Turkish tea, but culturally we're quite close to other teas, like teas from other regions. So it was a good change for me to like go to these places and then try out, oh, like they have tea from Lebanon. Okay, let's see what's that about. And then we're like, okay, this is good. And then they have Eastern teas, Western teas, doesn't matter. So I personally switch from like each time I go there, order Turkish tea and then just drink it to like, okay, let's see what I can try new. And I realized that lately I drink Turkish tea maybe once a week now instead of every day. So I think it was a good cultural transition. Yeah. So I really appreciated that whole having a lot of tea places around thing.
Okay. So at first you came to the Czech Republic to study automotive engineering. Did you do it because of the Škoda car?
When I was applying, that was one of my thoughts, of course. Like everyone, what we already knew about Škoda, although in Turkey it's pronounced Skoda, not Škoda. Um, so it was, I thought it would be a good gateway. Like there's a huge company, there's like a tradition of automotive industry in Czech Republic. And back then it was recently bought by Volkswagen Group. I was thinking like, okay, once I graduate, it could be a good option. And I'm sure there are like many companies and factories who are suppliers for Skoda. I think it gave me like a good kind of perception about the automotive industry in Czech Republic.
And how did you enjoy the Czech educational system or the Czech student university life?
Ooh, it was different. It was very different than any other education experience I had before. Um, it is much stricter here, like the whole education system, especially when it comes to engineering. There's no such thing as you're going to graduate, you know, by not knowing things. You're going to know things halfway, and you're somehow going to graduate and learn things while doing some sort of job. For ČVUT or like for engineering in ČVUT in general, I don't think that sort of approach exists. So the teachers are very strict, and one of the things about like a master's degree or even bachelor's is that people tend to go to school and work at the same time because they have the time. I don't think with the education here, I don't think that's an option because it's not even full time. It's like triple time because you have your regular lectures, then you have your projects, and then you have your long-term projects, and then you have your tests, and then you have your finals. And then everything has to be somehow perfect, that even if you can't convince one of the professors that you're good enough to pass that class, they will let you come back maybe even 8 times. They don't care that, oh, you were busy the day before, or like, oh, you had some problems the day before. They only care that if you learned or not, and you have to convince them. I really struggled the first semester to get used to that, because for us it was the same in Germany, that like the student life is about not only about studying theory and constantly, you know, reading books and doing projects, but it was much more about the active student life. You socialize, you talk to people, you visit places, and that's sort of the whole student experience slash package. So I had to change that after the first semester in ČVUT, and I had to like really dedicate myself to the studies 100%, 200%, so that I could graduate. But in the end, I think the education system is somewhat successful, because if I, as the person who didn't want to learn anything, learned all those things and graduated, I think it was a success, that like I was taught things, and that's the whole goal of the master's program, right? So I do feel really glad that I don't do it anymore. I'm not in the industry anymore, but I really feel glad that I started it, and as hard as it was, I finished it.
Were you studying it in English?
Yes, yeah, the program was in English. Yeah.
So how many students were actually Czechs?
I would say about 30%. They sort of had an advantage that they knew the system before we arrived. So like hanging out with them, being friends with them, they were great things, but at the same time, it was really helpful to the foreigners in the program, because certain things we didn't know. They were really used to the tempo and everything, so we sort of adjusted ourselves based on how they were doing things. And also it helped us learn a little bit of better Czech in the process.
I guess that people are not that much used to foreigners speaking Czech language, as on the other hand, you know, in United Kingdom, it's quite common that there are people speaking English, and probably it's the same in Germany nowadays. But in the Czech Republic, there are still not that many foreigners. So whenever you go outside and you try to speak actually Czech language, what's usually the reaction?
But usually the reaction is very good. They usually try to understand what I'm trying to say right away. I had people like pulling up their phones to like, hey, use Google Translate to show me the word that you mean. But of course, from time to time, if it's some sort of urgent matter, people can get impatient. Like sometimes people just want to get some answers and move on, and they don't want to see a foreigner trying to create a sentence for 15 minutes. And that's understandable. Usually the reaction is I think, very positive.
Can you think of some disadvantage of living in the Czech Republic?
But here in Czech Republic, I don't think it's possible to fully integrate yourself into the life and the Czech community unless you speak the language. And the unfortunate side is, for people like me who are used to speaking languages from different families, because you know, Turkish is a whole other structure, Latin language is a whole other structure, and then Czech itself is like Czech and Slovak. They're sort of like a specific kind of Slav languages, and they're so very hard to learn for us because everything is so different. And to me, that's like the unfortunate side. But apart from that, I don't think there are any disadvantages of living here.
So on the other hand, if we would have now a listener who is living somewhere outside of the European Union, he is a software engineer, let's say, and he is kind of hesitating. He's not sure to which country he should go. So what would you tell him about the Czech Republic?
Okay, so if he or she is considering other European countries as well, I would say, personally, I think Czech Republic is better because, one, things are still open on Sunday. So life doesn't end on a Sunday. Two, you can do laundry on a Sunday. People won't call the police because you're making noise by doing laundry on a Sunday. So these are huge advantages comparing to some other European countries. But apart from that, one, I think there's some sort of life advantage that, as I've just said, there's a disadvantage of language. It doesn't help you get integrated so fast. But people are nice and welcoming, and you can still feel like, you know, you're that special person, like, you know, the foreign part of community, because people are so welcome. And then there's the, like, I don't know, huge amount of places to visit. If you love nature, there's great nature. The food is good. People are good. There are lots of jobs. You know, if you don't like something, you can switch. There's no such thing as, you know, unemployment in Czech Republic. I mean, I think there is officially.
Yeah, it's the lowest one in all of European Union. So yeah.
I think that's a huge thing, that if you don't like one industry, you can try to go to the other, and you'll probably find a job. To me, the biggest thing about Czech Republic is peace. It is peaceful. It is quiet in a way that, like, coming from a country like Turkey, where a brand new thing happens every day and you don't know what, you know, okay, there are 50 things happening, which one should I worry about? I think here the biggest worry is like, oh, the minister did not wear a mask. And, you know, when you walk on the street, when you go somewhere, when you hang out somewhere, you just feel safe and you're at peace. Nobody will bother you as long as you don't bother someone else. Where, in my experience in other European countries, it's sort of not the case. The political situation is always a mess. The job situation is always a bit of a mess. Integrating yourself is always a bit of a mess. Czech Republic, on that matter, I think it's like low effort. You're happy to be here and nobody's bothering you, and I think that's great.
So you are a game developer. So what's your favorite Czech game?
The game that made Czech Republic known for me was Mafia. Over the years, again, I played other Mafia games. I played Arma, which is also made in Czech Republic. But I think that's about it. Also, there, I think it was called Somorost.
So how do you like Kingdom Come Deliverance?
I haven't played it, and my Czech friends are so mad at me because of that. I think it came out for me to one of the busiest times that I had in my life, with transitioning into the game industry and constantly working really hard at home and at work to catch up, because I believe I transitioned a little bit late. And then it was always, okay, I'll create some time and play it. I'll create some time and play it. At some point, it was even free on Epic Game Store, and I couldn't even catch that. But it is definitely on my list that I am going to go back and play it at some point, because I keep hearing great things about it. And I know the creators are the same as the creators of the Mafia game, so yes, it's definitely on my list to go back to it and like savor it slowly to understand how they did it, and yeah.
What do you think about the Czech gaming industry in general?
There's a huge tech boom right now in Czech Republic when it comes to software. We hear or see a lot of companies, software companies, just entering Czech Republic. There's a huge talent when it comes to development in general. There are lots of coders, developers, people who work and who want to work in the software industry. So due to this, right now I think Prague is transitioning like from being a hard manufacturing city or area to become like a tech hub. And you can see that just by looking at like the new areas like Karlin. I think Hodov is still like growing with a lot of tech IT software companies being there. But I think there's a big amount of talent here. And there's history. We saw it in Kingdom Come Deliverance. And there's some sort of tradition / culture that people love games, they play games, they like making them. I just think that it's not under the spotlight enough. I think personally it deserves more than this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I read an article a few weeks ago, and there was stated that I'm not sure if it was 2 times or even 3 times, but that the gaming industry in the Czech Republic makes that much more money than actually film industry. And you know, film industry in the Czech Republic, it already has like a big name, so people are familiar with it, and they're like, oh, film industry is a big deal. But the gaming industry is already like the bigger one, but so far it's not so much known in general public, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, and there's still a tendency for people to think that like, oh, it's video games, it's not something serious. Because usually for older generations, games were just like stuff that kids played. And now I think even with the global movie industry and game industry, like if you compare, the game industry is catching up. Maybe it's gonna exceed the movie industry at some point. I think Prague is the perfect city to become like the Silicon Valley of Europe, if you ask me.
And I believe that we have to mention another big Czech hit, and that's Beat Saber.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Which I believe that it's like #1 around all the virtual reality games at the time. So way to go.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, and then they were bought by Facebook Gaming, and now they're growing in Czech Republic, hiring a lot of people. And these are all very good examples. And I see because of the software industry's boom right now, there are a lot of expats coming to Prague. We do attend, for example, conferences and other things, and we meet people, and they're just so passionate about their project. Doesn't matter if it's small or big. And to me, that's sort of the first step to grow the whole video gaming culture and industry here. And I think it already happened. Now we just have to wait for the second, third, fourth step to happen.
Great. I have to give you one more question. What's your favorite Czech movie?
My favorite is Pelishki. And it was strange watching that movie because there were a lot of similarities between like the Turkish culture and humor and the Czech culture and humor. So like watching that movie, I was thinking like this building and these people could exist in Turkey and we could like switch the whole language and nobody would question. Because maybe not, there's not the specific Christmas celebration in Turkey, but like the way people communicate with their neighbors, the family problems, the political things going like outside that building in the whole country that affects their lives. To me, it really translated. Like even though I watched it with English subtitles, I really liked it. I laughed a lot, and I'm planning to make it one of my Christmas traditions to watch it every year. It's like yeah, just like my Czech friends do. So I think that's my favorite out of all of them.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for finding your time to come here to this podcast and talk a bit about your Czech experience. And I hope that you will find time to play Kingdom Come Deliverance very soon.
Thank you. It was really good to be here. It was really good to be a guest.
Dear listeners, thank you for being here with us and see you next time. Bye bye.